Hello, people. You're welcome to today's episode of the Total Woman Podcast, and I remain your girl, Hanmak. It's nice to have you here again. Thank you for listening. Thank you, our faithful followers. Thank you, our loyal listeners. You've done well. You've done us proud. We're grateful. So. You remember the last conversation we stopped where my journey into God and how I was able to find faith regardless. But I think I want to start from that point. Yes, the whole story, the how I met that woman who touched me in a special way, and at the end of the day, she proved to me that indeed God exists, right? So yes, I got to understand that God really existed. But guess what? I realized that I had messed up. You know, the realization of the existence of God and faith for me was also the realization of how far I have gone, how far I had strayed, how far I have left the core values, my belief system and everything where I came from. But it was interesting because at that point, I understood something, which over time I came to understand it better, to understand what actually happened. And that's the principle of justification. You know that when you go to a lawyer, when you go to the court and he's guilty or not guilty, right? So the moment they said not guilty, to discount, found guilty to this one, to this one. There's a concept of the fact that you've been justified. At that point, when you're not guilty, you've been let go, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have other, do you understand, small problems here and there. So I understood that, okay, by law, I was not going to jail, but then there were things that I needed to do, like community service, to serve out its sentence in other parts, and there were things that I did. So it was more of that principle. So the principle of justification means that what I was justified by the blood. God simply forgave me, and by God I mean Jesus Christ. I came by the blood. Jesus Christ forgave and gave me access to him, so I could come now by his blood, which meant that there was nothing Hanma could do at that moment to qualify, because I really did not qualify. And when he's talking about his children, I wasn't part of it. But now I had access to also be a part of what he's talking about. So going further, it's like I had a lifestyle. My lifestyle was more of party. I was this one girl who loved to dance. I'm not sure I would say I was into substance abuse, no, but I loved to dance. I love dancing till date. I still love to dance. So it doesn't take much for you to get me to a party, for you to get me to a club or something. But I want to tell you something that happened. I had come to that place where I had made up my mind for a lot of things that they were no longer going to like they were before. But guess what? I had the same crowd of friends that we were doing the very same thing over and over. So that was the reality of me now facing, okay, I'd made this decision. How does this decision affect my day-to-day life? And that's where the journey actually began. So I can never forget. I remember was it somewhere around 200 level or 300 level? Something happened. I had a paper to write, exams mode, of course. I had a paper to write, and then it was on Saturday, but then there was club on Friday. So I had to go. I knew that it was not possible for me not to go to club. So since I had the last paper I had was on a Tuesday, I decided to use Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to read. But afternoon, I dropped the paper aside. My reading stopped because I had to prepare to go to the club. And our friends were coming, we're going to out, we're outside, all that. So I was getting ready to do that and do that. So in my mind was, okay, I've thoroughly read all of these things and I was ready to write the paper. So now I can go and have fun and then come back towards morning and go and read, so that I'll go and review what I have read, go and write the paper. And the paper was supposed to be by 8 o'clock in the morning. So went to club, had fun and everything. So unfortunately, the person who had a car went out with the car, and then the car stopped working. He tried to start the car didn't work. And I can never forget that it was not too far from my parents' house. So, and neither could I go and knock by their door to tell them I'm coming to come and greet them. The question is that if I was coming by between 2 and 3, where would I tell them I'm coming from? I came from 9VG. Or did you get? And I had one of those kinds of parents that, well, the typical Christian African parent who, what was your excuse for going around in the night? So there was really not much I could say. I remember staying by a shop till towards morning where we could get a cab. And from where I was, I could see my parents' house, but I stayed out on the road, like I feel like, as I'm saying it, I almost feel like if it was the prodigal son who was that food that he wanted to eat from the pig's sty, that honestly, and I'm a person who can be very introspective, which means I go into myself to find out answers. And I was asking, I said, come, even if it's your village people that did you this thing, maybe you can come out. Even if my village people are putting inside bottle, I'm breaking it by myself. So I went back and I was watching my father's house, and I was just imagining the fact that there was lights, there was blankets, there was everything, and I was out in the cold. No one's doing but mine, completely on my own. And I just went home that day, and I had just one single prayer. I said, God, if you deliver me by carrying me home in time for me to, and I was living in Permanent Side. Do you get? I was at Old Airport. I was living in Permanent Side, so I had to arrive, and then Permanent Side don't have bike, so you have to trek inside. For those of us who did UJ, you had to trek inside. Back there, I was in all those boys' quarters. I had to trek in. Do you get? Look, with the flimsy outfit I was wearing, imagine that walk of shame where people were driving to go for lectures and doing lots of things, and you were going out, coming looking all skimpy, trying to arrive home to go and bath ready and then go back for that paper. I remember, I can never forget that my class rep then was staying close by, who I was calling and said, how far? You know they go? He was like, no, Ladon, here. I said, wait, say then don't carry that paper. Say, go walk, no be by 8. Say now by 11. And I just felt that answer to prayer was personal to me. It's like, this one, God do am. This message, Chimoso. God, you do this one. Oh, you do this one. That was just what it was like. Jesus, you like me. Jesus, this man really loves me. And I was like, okay, this is mine. One answer down. And I went back. Where the rest, some were drunk, and I thank God. I don't do alcohol much anyway. I'm not too much into alcohol. I'm not too much into substance. I just believe that my cruise is more than alcohol cruise or any other cruise you can find. I am enough. If you add down to it, you will only be making me sleep. So bless God for that. I went and just sat down. I took my bath, sat down. I took breakfast. I just put coffee, black coffee, and just started reading. I said, this one, and I told God, I went and I said, if I pass this paper, sir, Omo, this clubbing shall finish. It is not a by force something. Do you understand? And I went and wrote that paper. I wrote that paper. They said, how far? Let's hang out. I said, no, I don't have anything. I'm not going anywhere. So what's happened? You know how they will come? What happened? Let's go. I am not going. But I realized something over time, that I needed to be pushed to the wall to be able to make that kind of decision for myself. So it's like, yes, I felt saved by grace. I felt loved in a way that I've never been loved before. And then guess what? He went on, because you remember I told you that I was in a quest to find out if he existed, because it's like the things around me that just kept going wrong. I felt this guy, how can you just be watching all these things to mess up? So it's like I was on a streak, man. I was really enjoying it. I was on a streak that it was like at every point Bese wants to happen, I would just say a prayer, and one single prayer. And it's like the thing was just coming, answering was just coming back to back. I said, oh shit, this guy is like, we are going to be doing this thing more often. And I think that was for me. I realized that was when it changed for me. I felt that people go to church, we gather, and we just keep reciting a lot of things that we don't believe in. You go and then you keep praying and praying and praying. And then it's like, for the first time, I began to understand that prayer is actually a conversation with God. It was just that, a conversation. So prayer was not that thing that I do for people to know that I went for prayer meeting. Prayer changed for me. It was not that place that I go so that we mark attendance in church, that we were there in prayer meeting and we really prayed and God is going to. Do you understand? You were conscious of the fact that you go to church, you pray for the church, you pray for the sinners, you pray for. I realized that prayer was just conversing with my Father concerning about issues that concerned me directly, and I could do that effortlessly. And I also realized that in front of the shop in the night, where I was one that carried myself to the club, and then there was no car. Do you understand that the concept that it must be in a church, the concept that it must be in a particular way? Do you get? And then I was coming from an Orthodox background, which was mostly which was cooking. So, and then we needed to cover our hair. There were rituals that came with all that process and all of that. And then I realized that I was wearing a skimpy outfit. Do you understand? In the wrong. serving my own punishments that I did for myself, gave myself, serving my own sentence without covered hair, all made up. Do you understand? And then I prayed and God heard me and he responded. I felt this guy must really love me. And as I say this guy, I remember we have a reverend friend who told, when every time I say this guy, he would tell me, he said, no, Hamak, stop calling our Jesus guy. So this God must really love me for him to put all this effort. Do you get? I felt pampered. So I can understand Misola's song, my daddy, your baby is singing. I will be singing and dancing for the rest of my till eternity. I'm not sure I know how to sing it very well, but I think I can understand that perspective, that I felt pampered of the Lord. I felt loved in a way that is like, so when they came and said, how far, let's hang out, maybe he has fixed his car, and I said, you and who? Ha. I must be a very rare brand of stupid. Do you understand? And clueless. I must be the dumbest girl on the block to be able to follow again. I am not doing. No. You say what? I say I'm not doing. Is it me? Just come and be going. I'm not doing. And sir, I think that I just took a decision that day, and the decision did not come because I messed up and I suffered. No, sir. The decision was, this guy is worth serving. I want to be more committed to this thing that I believe. Do you understand? I had believed it, but I was not yet willing to stand out or defend it, which got me questions. Say, is that, when I look at people now, I wonder, is that it's not, we would like to claim to believe God in our closets, but when we come out, we want to be politically correct. You don't want to offend people. We don't want to. A friend of mine told me that she went and then she was praying about something. She just prayed and she talked and said, I just prayed. I just had to pray to have peace concerning this issue and all that. And her colleague asked her and said, you're one of these born again people. You're a child of God. And she said, yes. Are you a child of the devil? And he did not know how to answer her. And the question is that I should not apologize for my belief system. I shouldn't have to apologize for my belief system. And it offends you, it's okay. It's a you problem, it's not a me problem. That's what I believe, and it's simple. The same way I do not ask a Muslim to apologize. Do you understand? I make room for your belief system. I believe mine is right, and I know that you genuinely believe that yours is right too. At some point, we hope that we can each have encounters. Maybe I might be want to change. I doubt much. Maybe we don't want to change. Pretty much still fine. But regardless, that we make room for one another's differences. Do you get one another's belief system? I realize that it's a very dicey thing, and by what we do with social media and a lot of things, they would rather you not talk about God but just be nice, general, teach morals. No, my morals come from a conviction of who God is, and because he first loved me, and I cannot help but be committed to this kind of lifestyle because I feel compelled to it. You don't know my story, you don't know where I'm coming from, so it's okay. Hold on to your belief system while I hold on to mine, but don't expect me to apologize for what I believe, and I would definitely not expect you to apologize for what we just talked about. This Bodge girl, what's her name again? Say that Bodge, Abby? Yeah. Who said what she said on social media, and everybody's coming up for her now, and I felt it's what she believes. It might be wrong, it might be right, it might whatever, but it's her belief system, and I think it's okay to believe what she believes. I don't believe what she believes. I don't subscribe to it, but I also understand that it shows me a dimension of brokenness, and we cannot overflog the fact that society does that to us. It breaks our minds. It breaks us belief system. Nigeria, the economic system in Nigeria has reduced a lot of us to doing a lot of despicable things that you never thought you could do. You understand? Nobody goes to school planning to do that, but it's what it is. But I'm not saying it's right. Neither am I saying it's wrong. I'm just simply saying it's a belief system, right? And it can offend you. But beyond that, it's freedom of belief. And that's the extreme that I'm talking about. But going back to my own, I think it helped me experiencing the love of God, experiencing answered prayer by simple conversations that I never thought would amount to much, brought me into a space where I was now more confident of my belief system. So it's like it gave me the leap I needed to be able to stand and defend what I believed in this every sense. And it's like, do you see this man that picked me from the gutter and ministered love to my heart? That's God, of course. Then this same dude that just answered my prayer that I prayed without anybody hearing, but he just went ahead to just make provision for me to be able to do all that I did. And guess what? Did you know I passed the course? I didn't tell you that. I actually passed the course. So it's like to the point whereby I actually passed the course. And I was like, okay, big deal. So even the dancing and everything did not remove all that I learned in from my head. It did not get me distracted too much. I came back and I was able to do all that, and I did that and I passed. So it was like, okay, you've done your own part. I said, if I could do this and pass, it's time for me to honor my own. And I think that ended the streak of partying and clubbing for me. It just died a natural death. But then I had a struggle because part of my problem was because I didn't believe in church so much. I didn't believe in church, which put me now on the path of, okay, let me know this God for myself. I think I don't believe in church, but I know that it's a good thing, and it helps people. And when you look at scriptures like iron sharpened iron, do not neglect the gathering of brethren, where David said, I was glad when they said, let's go to the house of the Lord. Those scriptures compel you to know that there's something in faith, right? There's something about going to the house of the Lord. I understood it, but then that was when the question was that, okay, so if I was not doing this, what is the alternative? And that's what I wanted to raise today also, is that we expect so much as religious leaders, as faith people that from faith. And when I mean religious leaders, I don't just mean Christians, even the Muslims and whatever you subscribe to. We subscribe to this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, but we most of the time don't create an alternative. Do you understand? Where I can outsource that creativity in me, which means that, okay, growing up then in the 90s, it was like rap music had to be hip hop. So when you start rapping, it's like you're singing the devil's music, and it's like, okay. But then we have people today like Kendrick Lamar, that when you hear him rap, it's interesting. There are people that let's not even go far, our just artists. I'm not sure there's anything MI says that I don't enjoy, because he comes from a deep place of understanding. And when he's speaking, you remember this song, Dance, if you Shout. Yeah, he had a song, Shout. I don't remember but I remember it was crowd mentality. Thank you, Oyale. Crowd mentality. So the crowd mentality song was amazing. Do you get? And then this what's his name? Jesse Jacks. He's one of the just artists that I genuinely love, because I love beats. I'm a person who enjoys a lot of beats and I love dancing. But you see, so it was like he combined my love for rap together with lovely, he's a creative to the core. Like one of my favorite songs of his, Say Waiting Day, Mama We Doing Okay. It's a brand new day. I don't remember the song ever. Please, I'm very, it have passed. But my point is, when you hear things like that, it's like, okay, what's the alternative for? I grow up having a passion for this. I'm an outdoor person. Do you get? And then suddenly I have to stay at home so that I'll be this good girl. Do you get? I was trying hard to clear myself off from the type of crowd that I was with. I was trying to change perspective. I was working on myself. But it's like it had nothing, the religious sphere. I had found faith, but the religious sphere obviously almost looked like it had nothing to offer me. And so I was struggling. So I felt, okay, even if I don't do I don't do this, let me try going to fellowships. So I think that was when I started attending concerts. So also, okay, so I love to dance. I'll just go and dance in the house of God. So we do concerts, we do a lot of things, to attend to a lot of things like that, to be able to work. But I realized that even the concerts, the type of music was not appealing to me. And we used to, I think back then we used to put it, we go to every typical cooking church, and there's this beat that every special number comes and you say mark up, 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 din 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 din. And it's that reggae thing that it was so boring. Lord have mercy. So I had a struggle, because I was an eventful person, adventurous person. I loved going out. I loved hanging out. So it's like I was like, God, you cannot have created me, and all these things it's like nothing caters for my time, my kind. I felt caged. I felt miserable, and it began to dull the shine that I came with, because it was like, okay, the only reason I could possibly want to serve this God is so that I don't get to go to hell. Do you understand? And I realized I don't like hell very much because fire is hot. Because if I have not born you before, you don't understand what I'm talking about. But anybody that knows that fire is hot, you know that you try to avoid fire. That thing, that fire. So the whole concept, since I'm subscribing to this religion, Christianity, and no, not religion. I'm subscribing to Christianity. I understand by our belief system, there's fire, there's hell. And if we, growing up like I did, we know that everything leads to hell. So you go to the road and you find some people telling you that if you wear red lipstick, you go to hell. You wear you wear attachment, you go to hell. You wear earrings, you go to hell. You wear, at different levels. I can never forget, I was sick one time and I was very sick. We took medicine, and so a pastor friend of my dad came around and we're talking about, okay, his daughter is not feeling fine. I said, let us pray. I said, all right, let's pray. I just bowed my head to pray, and then he bowed his head too, and then he saw my nails were painted red, and he was like, he now knows the problem. I said, what is this? And I was struggling with malaria and typhoid, and he told me that it was the cortex that the painted nail red. He said that's the problem. You cannot have the thing of the devil and claim to be serving God, because the devil will come for his property. So it is because of that painted nail that the devil came for. That is what I have. And I was wondering, how is malaria? I was thinking of the parasite malaria and what causes typhoid. I was trying to compare to see how is my nail. Does it seep through my nails to be diffused into my body and all of that? So from an intelligent perspective, a lot of things that were done were not really appealing to me, because I got to question so much that I was not getting the answers I needed. And I'm saying this openly because I realized that until we're able to curate, do you understand, around faith, curate programs and events that cater to every type of mind. And my mind was an inquisitive mind. I'm not somebody you tell me to do something. I needed to know the why behind it. I don't just follow because of following sake. So yes, I understood God. I understood the whole concept of God, but living in God was so boring. It was so damn boring that I felt, Jesus, if this is all that is available at this point, I'm going to die before I get to 30. Because this lifestyle was not working for me. Came into a book. There's this Heaven is So Real by Chunam that I came in contact with someone. I think I started reading the book. I traveled to the village with my dad, and then so he just bought the book and he said, have I ever seen this book? I said, yeah, sure. So I was not interested, but after a while I was bored and I love to read. So I picked the book and I started reading. I started the book, I think, by 3 in the afternoon. I realized I didn't sleep until I finished the book by 3 in the night. You know how you go to sleep, then you find yourself waking up to finish this book. The suspense is killing me. It's only books that get me to do that. So movie, I can go and sleep. But you say a book. I love to read. So I took this book and I was reading. And that was the first time I realized I truly wanted to go to heaven. Can I tell that story? That's a beautiful one. You see, my manager is beginning to show me time. That time is getting up. But let me tell you this story briefly. So I was reading that book. And in that book, she mentioned the fact that she had an encounter with God, and then she went into heaven. Do you understand? She went to heaven, and then Jesus brought her to the kitchen. Then he showed her water, and in that water she saw fish, and then he carried the fish and he roasted it. Do you understand how it changed my perspective, that there was pointer and kill in heaven? Do you understand? Heaven also accommodated the chilling guys. Do you understand? Now we're talking. Said she sat down and they ate and they just were having fun. There was no profound thing. That encounter was nothing profound though. It was about chilling. And I was like, my guy. Yes. Now you're beginning to speak my language. She had a lot of encounters. This is the only one I remember from that book, because that one imprinted deeply in my soul. I was like, hey, I knew there had to be more in this Christ. I knew there had to be more in this God. Because if it is what I'm seeing and it's all that I'm hearing, it's only because and it's worse because Sunday school taught us that you go to heaven where you say what? Holy is the Lamb. So I was imagining with my creative mind. So I'm just going to go and sit in this heaven. I'm doing this holy. I was just imagining the pain I'm going to be feeling on my back. How wasteful. Do you know, eating kosher eating and tea? Let's try tea. Do you understand? Some muffins. Let's do cake. Do you understand? Let's just be. It's like holy. And I was like, wow. these 24 elders must be a very dull set of people. And so when I read that book, I think for the first time in my life, I wanted to go to heaven. Because now I was looking forward to the chilling we're going to be doing with Jesus. My guy. Do you understand? But I realized that in all of that, I know that heaven is not supposed to be. I know that the journey of faith was not something to be exciting, to keep exciting me, and on just that it was not about excitement. But guess what? To a baby believer, what did you expect? I was just coming into it, and so it's like, I think for me, one of the things we do is we have a discipleship outlet that caters to students in the university. And one of the things we do is just we go hang out with them and we talk and we have conversations about rape, conversations about relationships, conversation about, do you understand, integrity, how to handle your body, owning your body, and a lot of conversations, and try to put the godly perspective without choking them with the super spiritual. Do you understand? Why? It's not because I want to water down Christianity. No, I'm saying that you cater to the mind and hope that the person grows from there to a yearning, to a more deeper connection. And I think that's what I lacked at that point. But it was a struggle. But guess what? I think I began to win gradually, because now it took me to a journey whereby, okay, where do I belong to? The denomination I was coming from did not cater to my need. Where then do I then belong? My type. I realized that it's like, okay, I came into the truth of the fact that not every congregation is your congregation. Do you understand? My answers, the church was not trying to do anything to offend me, but it was just not my space. So it was incumbent on me to find my own space. So it was now what we refer to as church prostitution. Now they tell you when you've been born in cooking, you should die in cooking. Or when you're born a Catholic, you die a Catholic. I think for me, that was when church prostitution started. But it was not prostitution. That's the insults that they will insult you, of course, for going to different churches. But at that point, it was a journey into finding my own space. It was the journey to finding, okay, I found faith. Do you understand? Where do I find kindred spirits that we can journey this journey together? And that's a whole story for another day. You want to hear everything today? It's not possible now. Let's meet next episode and we'll talk some more and I'll tell you those miraculous things that I found and how amazing it was, and until I found my own space. I hope you've been following. I hope you've been saying something. I hope you've been commenting on our social media platforms. And just in case you've forgotten, Total Woman Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook. Keep following, keep speaking, and let's take this journey together. Let me know where you're at in your journey. Let me know how far, at what points when you're from when you received Christ, when you came into faith, and how did you transition from faithlessness and then encounter with faith to faithfulness. I would like to hear stories concerning that. Is that okay? Thank you very much for listening. The Lord bless you. And I remain your girl, Hanmac. See you on next episode. Bye.